It's probably worth going through the chronology of yesterday afternoon. There are two memos, right, that we know about, one from Elon Musk and one from SpaceX's CFO, Brett Johnson, that explained as much as we know about the mechanics of it. Take it from there, and then we'll get to the big picture.
Right. So the original memo came from Elon himself, which I actually believe is posted on the SpaceX website now, talking about the reason for the merger. He mentioned creating the most ambitious vertically integrated company that would be designed around AI and using space for AI purposes. Obviously, Elon's talked very openly in the recent months about building out these massive data centers in space in order to do complex computing for artificial intelligence. And so that was just reiterated in that memo. And then a follow-up email that talked about the new valuation for the company. We're looking at $1.25 trillion for SpaceX. That's because SpaceX was revalued at $1 trillion with xAI at $250 billion. And then a new share price being set as well. So it was just a massive day for both SpaceX and xAI and this new combined company that we will be covering moving forward.
Loren, are investors pumped about this? Because xAI spends gargantuan amounts of money, about $1 billion a month. Is that a good news story longer term as they try to IPO the business?
I think there's definitely some skepticism and a lot of questions that we still need answered, right? xAI comes with a lot of debt. Where does that debt go? How is that going to get paid off? I think also there's some questions about what this means for the long-term vision for SpaceX. Ever since the company was founded, it was founded with the purpose of starting a settlement on Mars that humans could live and work at. This sounds, building out data centers for AI sounds like a bit of a detour from that. I'm sure, there are ways in which Elon will say that they all work together. But I think, maybe some investors and shareholders might think this isn't exactly what they signed up for when it came to the SpaceX vision overall.
Caroline raises a very good point on the IPO. My understanding is that IPO is still on track. They need the capital for the GPUs that goes into data centers very quickly. SpaceX is subject to ITAR. What do we know about the structure of this new beast?
Right. So as of now, these companies, it doesn't look like a lot is changing functionally or operationally. They will remain separate. As you mentioned, SpaceX is under these regulations that control the transportation and information flow related to defense systems, which SpaceX is subject to because they build rockets and many of that technology that is used for their vehicles are used for weapons and defense-related materials. And a lot of, that just limits a lot of the things that they can do when it comes to communication, the software they use, etc. And so xAI isn't under those regulations. I don't think they want xAI to be under those regulations. And so for now, the two entities will be functioning separately. But I'm sure they will look for ways to integrate moving forward and maybe some, fun branding opportunities I'm sure we can expect in the future.